Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of West Bend Common Council meeting for June 7th at 6:30. Note that we do have a quorum with all aldermen present and accounted for. Please rise for the posting of the colors by the West Bend Police Department Honor Guard.
Present. Pause. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Word. Pause. Ready. Ready. Colors. Order. Arms.
Thank you for that. And before we get started with all of our business tonight, I did want to acknowledge some of the unfortunate incidents that happened over this past week in our city. Firstly, a bomb scare at Regner Park shut down the start of both Regner Rocks and Music on Main festivals, ending the kickoff of many celebrations for residents and guests into our city. Fortunately, a dedicated team of public safety individuals from our neighboring counties, our county, and our own emergency personnel and city staff swiftly came to action to determine if the threat was valid. Though fortunately the threat was determined to be false, our public safety community's ability to come together should all make us proud of the teamwork and cooperation we have. We also must acknowledge a loss of life on Saturday at the Regner Park swimming pool. An 8-year-old boy unfortunately drowned despite heroic efforts of all involved. I would like to thank the numerous citizens, park staff, and emergency personnel who sprung to the rescue and followed proper procedures to do everything they could to save his life. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family, friends, and our community who are mourning this loss, and I'd ask that you please join me in a moment of silence for this young man. Thank you so much. And with that, I will move on to approval of the minutes. Number one, the Common Council regular meeting minutes of May 17th at 6:30.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. MADL and Allen. Any corrections or discussion on those? All's in favor, send by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then we'll move on to presentations, which is the oath of office for 3 police officers, Montana LUECKING, Brandon WICKE, and Jacob BOELTER. And we'll have a presentation by the chief.
Raise your right hand. I, Montana M. LUECKING, having been appointed as police officer in the city of West Bend, Washington County, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
So help me God.
Brandon's badge on, I'll briefly introduce her to the community. She graduated from Menominee Falls High School. She then attended Waukesha Technical College, where she obtained her associate degree, and later on went to recruit school, where she just graduated this last May. Montana started with the city last November. She's been a community service officer with us for the last 7 or 8 months. Apologize a little bit to the community. We normally do a very thorough background. In this case, we did not uncover the fact that Montana was named after a guy by the name of Joe Montana. Apparently her father did not know that Bart Starr is from Wisconsin. Bart is from Wisconsin. I would say some other guy named Aaron would be, but I'm not so sure we want to say that. But certainly Brett and Bart would have been proper names. But we welcome Montana.
Raise your right hand. I, Brandon M. Wicke,
I, Brandon M. Wicke,
having been appointed
as
police officer
in
the city of West Bend,
the city of West Bend,
Washington County,
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the state of Wisconsin,
of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of said office
the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
While I've been Brandon's badge on, just to go background, Brandon graduated of Fort Washington High School. He finally in high school, 5 years in the Marines, 2013 to 2018. He then obtained his bachelor's degree from Concordia University and recently completed recruit school at Milwaukee Area Technical College. When I attended his graduation there, met his mother, and she said 2 things to me. She said, "Doesn't he look like best one in the class?" She said, "He just looks like a cop, doesn't he?" So that was a little proud woman. But the thing that stuck with me even more than that, she said, "I'm sure you hear everybody say it when they come and they're in," because Brandon was in a couple other processes, and we asked him, where do you want to work? She says, I'm sure everybody always says, West Bend, and you don't believe him. She says, I want you to believe him because this is what his first choice was, and he wanted to be here. And so we're very lucky that he did choose West Bend. They had a lot of competition out there, and he chose the best department as far as we're concerned. We also got one of the best.
Raise your right hand. I, Jacob A. Belter,
I, Jacob A. Bolter,
having been appointed as police officer in the city of West Bend, Washington County, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jake's badge on, kind of welcoming, not so much to the police department, because he's been with us for the past year. Jake started a year ago as a community service officer. He had attended West Bend West High School, so one of the candidates this time from one of our high schools, although we've had several in the past few years. Jacob attended Waukesha Technical College for his associate degree and recently completed recruit school at Milwaukee Area Technical College. And Jacob, one of the things that we work with the community service officers is help them to get into recruit schools and help them get a police job. And as I was talking to Jacob, much like Brandon, But this one I didn't hear from his mother. He told me it ahead of time. He said, I said, he applied for an apartment, and he said, only if I don't make it in West Bend, because this is where I want to be. And again, that's what we want. We want qualified people that want to be here, to be in this community. Jacob grew up here, and he wants to make a difference in his hometown. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations again to those new officers. Happy to have you as part of our West Bend team. And with that, I will recess the Common Council to call to order the City of West Bend Licensing Board for June 7th. And note that we have 11 items on the agenda. The first being approval of the minutes, the regular meeting minutes for April 19th.
Motion to approve.
Second it.
Thank you. It's been motion seconded. Any comments or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. And we're looking for approval of the minutes for May 17th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second. Any comments on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move on to agenda items for consideration. The first being number 3, Class A combination license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second. Any comments on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Going number 4, Class B combination license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Number 5, Reserve Class B combination license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I lost track of mine. 6.
6.
6, Class B beer license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second. Any comments on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Number 7, Class B beer / Class C wine license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion second. Any comments on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Number 8, amusement arcade renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion seconded. Any questions on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Number 9, coin and precious metals or stone dealer license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion seconded. Any comments or questions on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, massage establishment license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on these? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And last but certainly not least, number 11, secondhand jewelry article or pawnbroker license renewals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. It's been motion seconded. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And having no further business for the licensing board, I adjourn by the call of the chair.
I would like to call to order the Board of Public Works. We have 2 items on the agenda. The approval of minutes from the meeting of May 17th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any corrections, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, award contract 2104, sidewalk installation and repairs. Good evening, Max.
Good evening. Thank you. This item is an item that we presented to the board and council on May 17, and we're coming back today because during that presentation we explained that the sidewalk budget did not have enough funds to do all the groups of sidewalks that we had put in the contract, and the suggestion was made to look into using pavement maintenance funds to supplement the sidewalk fund and then do the entire groups of sidewalks in this contract. So we did check with the finance director, and she said that we can indeed use some PMP funds. So we're back today. I will recap that we received 2 bids on May 7th for this work. The low bidder is Ford Equipment from Grafton, Wisconsin. And so we would recommend we check their references by contacting other communities. And we would recommend that the city award this contract to Ford Equipment for the amount of $129,485 at the unit prices specified in their bids, with a contingency fund for a total allocation not to exceed $136,000. Like I said, the funds would be coming from the sidewalk account as well as the supplement from the pavement maintenance funds. So if the board and council act favorably, there is an award of contract form attached to your memo.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion. Who's the second? Jed Alnick. Any questions for Max? If there aren't any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank
you,
you.
Max. Being no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn.
And with that, I will call to order the Finance Committee meeting. We have 2 items on the agenda. First up is approval of the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting on May 17th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or anything else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. All right, the second item is an item for consideration, and that is a resolution for correction of 2020 property taxes for Steve Antonelli. And I'm sorry, we're going to have, I'm not sure your name.
Assessor Jeff Yoder.
Sorry, Jeff.
That's okay.
Here to tell us a little more about that. Thank you.
Yes, on January 28th of 2021, the property owner contacted the City of West Bend Assessor's Office to inform us of a palpable error on this property. The owner confirmed that he did not have basement finish as indicated on his property records. After confirming this, we are requesting that the council correct this error that is before you.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, thank you. And we have a motion and a second. Great. Any other questions for Jeff? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you for speaking with us. And with no further business before the Finance Committee, I will adjourn.
Thank you, Alderman Kennedy. And I'll call back to order the City of West Bend Common Council meeting. We are on our consent agenda consisting of items 4 through 14.
Motion
Approved.
Second.
I'll give that one to KOEHLER, then Allen. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to agenda items for consideration. Number 15, a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds between operating accounts from the police department to the engineering department. We're going to have a presentation by Max. Take it away.
Thank you again. This item is a resolution we bring to you in order to transfer funds from the operating budget between the police department and the engineering department. This is because we received several items that require studies to resolve some, or to look at some traffic engineering issues, concerns that were brought up to us by the public, and we currently do not have the funding to hire a consultant to do those investigations and reports to the Safety Commission. And the police department indicated that because of openings, they would not be using the entire funding that they have in their operating budget for salaries. So they suggested that we could use some of those funds to be able to do those studies and bring those items to the Safety Commission. And in order to do those, the finance director directed us to propose this resolution so that we could transfer the funds from the police department to the engineering department operating budget.
Thanks, Max. Do we have a motion on that item?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alan and BERGQUIST. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. If at some point, this would be for Chief Meuler, if at some point we find additional candidates to hire in the police department, would you be seeking restitution of these funds?
Not right now. We have you heard two CSOs here that were promoted to the police officer. We have two other I still have 3 openings right now. 2 of them are CSOs that I'm working on getting into recruit schools. They have to get to recruit school, so they have offers contingent upon them. So I wouldn't be able to hire, because they're already on our eligibility list, so I won't be able to hire anybody until, they won't be promoted to police officer until January, because they finish up their recruit school in December. So we should not be using those funds, and we'll make sure we don't fill in overtime if we can help it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yep, Alderman Kenny.
Yeah, I just had a question for Max, I guess. Do most communities for like the safety commission, do most communities use like an outside engineering firm or police? Okay, I don't know who would answer this.
Well,
use the outside like engineering services to come up with it? Because I know one of my questions was around a no parking sign. And I think that's going to go to this committee or this engineering firm. Is that pretty standard practice?
Well, I can give you a brief little. So when I came here as chief and found that the chief chairs the safety commission, we had somebody in engineering that studied each one of these requests. The first step in traffic safety is, I used to teach this, that's why I remember this, the 3 E's. The first one is engineering, the other 2 are enforcement and education. But I'm not an engineer. Most cities have somebody in the engineering staff that does it. Since that spot was eliminated, it has gone out for study, and some of the requests don't need as in-depth, but most do, and it's not something as simple as just saying we're going to put signs up or we're going to take signs down or we're going to, so some of the studies are not that detailed, but there has to be something. There is also a uniform traffic manual. I can't remember what the official name of it, but it's a national traffic safety manual that's about this thick with every, and I do refer back to that as do the engineers, but again, I'm not an engineer, and so if you're asking it, most of the communities, yes, they will have somebody, an engineering person that makes those recommendations. That's not in my expertise.
Thank you.
Just to piggyback off of Alderman Kennedy's question then, so how often are we looking to do these types of studies? I mean, is it pretty scarce or is this a regular thing?
Well, I think it should be more regular. I'll be honest with you. I'm embarrassed that we haven't done these. Alderman Kennedy she had a request that's been there for several months. There are sometimes we contact a citizen and we discuss it, and after I explain the situation, the citizen will say, okay, I understand, and we're not going to do this. But in the case that Alderman Kennedy brought up, I think there should be a study done there. There's been some business changes and some things that would warrant some changes. So they do come up regularly. I think that in the future there should be money put aside for these studies. If they're not used each year, we can look at it, move it on. Now, if you're talking about a safety committee, if it's truly a safety commission item, they should be looked at sooner, and we shouldn't be. So we haven't been able to have a meeting for the last year, and part of it was COVID, but a bigger part of it is that there was no money for the engineering studies.
Yeah, that's good background to have. Alderman Dalton.
And that was what I was kind of thinking of, is that I don't mind approving this transfer, but we shouldn't have to do this. There should be money budgeted for this. We're a big enough city that this stuff just can't be handled this way. And out of curiosity, Max, the one that I gave you for that no parking on River Road, is that part of this, or?
Yes, it's part of the study.
Yeah, so I'm one of them. Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Model?
Yeah, I know we've been talking, Max, about getting you some help in the engineering department. Is that the sort of thing that help might be able to do, or is that a whole another position?
That would be a whole other position.
Okay.
For some of the basic ones, we may have that person go out and take some measurements, but several of those studies need to follow the procedures that is detailed in the Manual of Uniform Traffic Devices. We always go to a traffic engineering firm for those because it's kind of involved and time consuming.
Okay. Anything else? Then we do have a motion second on the floor to approve. All those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to number 16, termination and transfer of airport and lease Jadair to KPF and Associates LLC. Mark.
Good evening. These are the two documents you have in front of you pertain to lease lot 17, which is an existing commercial hangar lease lot at the airport. This is our standard process, these two agreements. One is a transfer agreement for the old lease. The other one is the actual new lease for the new applicant. We go through this whenever there is. It doesn't happen very often, but we probably do about one of these every 2 years or so for lease transfers. The agreements and the forms are our standard forms. You've seen those before. The content is predominantly mandated by FAA rules and regulations and has been our standard format, what we have here for the last 5 years or so. So we've asked for approval of the transfers agreement and the new lease.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Bergquist and Allen. Any questions on this for Mark? Seeing none, all those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we're on to 17, resolution approving the extraterritorial final plat for Green Acres, a 14-lot single-family residential subdivision located southwest of Wallace Lake Road and North Trenton Road, southeast quarter, Section 6, T11 and R20E by Dam Properties LLC. Hey, Jim, what you got for us?
Good evening. So I'm asking the council tonight to consider a resolution for an extraterritorial plat. It's located about 3/4 of a mile just north of the city. The Plan Commission unanimously recommended approval of the plat, so this will just be a final action item for the council to take action for this plat for the township.
Sounds great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Model and Allen. Any questions for Jim? Seeing none, all those in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks.
You gonna take the next one too?
I'm taking the next one too.
Now we got number 18, ordinance amending Chapter 17 zoning regarding changing the requirements on the sign ordinance, urban design requirements, and single-family and two-family residential driveways for certificate of occupancy by the Department of Development in the City of West Bend. Take it away.
Thanks. So tonight I'm asking the council to consider zoning change for a few sections in the municipal code for zoning. Most of them are pertaining to urban design under 1747 and then also the sign code under 1748. We do have one section under 1738 for driveways for issuing occupancy during the winter months. So we're just asking the council to take consideration of this. The public hearing was held back at Plan Commission earlier this month. We had no comments pertaining to the changes. So we're asking the council to consider the changes for final enactment.
Sounds great. Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Thank you, Olnick and Allen. Any questions on this?
Yeah, the change on the driveways, that applies only during specific months, correct?
Correct. So this is just to give the building inspection and development some authorization to forgo the driveways during the winter months, and then the completion would be required, once the weather breaks for spring constructions.
Sounds good. Any other questions or comments? Yep, go ahead.
One further question. with more emphasis on public works type projects, it could be that even outside of winter months, traditional 3 or 4 months of no orange cones, it seems like maybe not putting, amend it slightly to take that off and leave that at the discretion of the building department, because, somebody would like to have a contractor come in. I know from personal experience when I was contracting and trying to get somebody to come in and put in a driveway, there are times, not winter months, when they just don't want to do small projects.
Sure, this is more for the new constructions that we have. We always put the builders and the property owners on notice that the driveways are needed for occupancy. So this is for the approaches and the driveways. This was, the code itself didn't have any provisions for unique circumstances for this. So this was more to address the winter conditions. If the council feels that we should, amend this, we can go back and amend it. But this was intended for the occupancies that can't occur for the, due to winter construction.
Do you see a problem with what Mark is suggesting, Alderman Allen is suggesting?
I guess I don't see a problem with it, just as long as we have the ability to do enforcement beyond agreed upon date.
Does that take that away?
Pardon me?
Does that take that away?
Probably wouldn't, as long as, depending on what section or where we're changing the wording in. If we're, I'm assuming you want to change from April or from October to April timeline? Is that what you're looking at modifying?
Yeah, I would maybe add a sentence that says, or at such times that contractors aren't available. These aren't jobs that, that the homeowner can go out and take care of.
Ian, go ahead.
If that's what you're looking for, I would just recommend striking the between the months of October and April. Because we already have seasonal or other factors. Obviously, availability of contractors could be considered an other factor.
Right.
This has only been an issue, as Jim indicated, for the new construction. We're talking about houses getting completed in the winter months, and they can't physically get contractors in to do it, not because of lack of contractors. They know the timing and how long they have to schedule it. It's purely a weather-related issue. This isn't an issue for replacement of driveways, because they're not going to come in and rip something out just, and then wait for it to be replaced. So it isn't an issue, and the ones that we're giving latitude to here are simply because of the weather conditions. If they're, otherwise we're ending up with giving, it becomes very subjective for staff to try to enforce it by doing it. And scheduling a driveway under new construction, it's not like they don't know that it's coming. You can plan 6-7 months ahead during the construction of a typical single-family home to schedule someone. So it's not a competition issue or a lack of contractors. It's purely the physical constraints. I would suggest trying it the way we proposed it in here and the way our Plan Commission discussed it. And if it continues, we still have some issues with it, we can always come back for a change on it.
Alderman Dolnick had a comment. Okay, you're good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I think we have a motion, right?
I think so.
Motion and a second.
Okay. All right. Well, we do have a motion second as presented. Is there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
And number 19, the resolution for Mr. White, we're going to postpone. We're going to make sure that the resolution is all completed and Mr. White is able to be in attendance, so that'll push to the next meeting. So then we'll move on to reports. Number 20, a report by Alderman Bergquist regarding the Airport Commission meeting. Take it away.
Thank you, sir. The last meeting of the Airport Commission was held on the 27th of May, and that was my first meeting. We approved the minutes of the last one held on September 10th of 2020. Myself and Chris Thompson were welcomed as new members to the commission. We then approved the termination and transfer of the lease for Lot 17 that we just voted on not too long ago, a T-hangar that changed owners. Discussion topics included creation of new zoning for the airport, issues with hangar use, a change of the radio frequency that pilots use to contact the airport. We received an update on the airport master plan and a report from the airport manager, Mike Shaw. Some of the items that he briefed us on was the reconstruction of the apron and taxiways that is occurring now. We found out about new equipment to the fleet vehicles used by the airport to cut grass and remove snow. He told us of the reconstruction plans of runway 1331, which is in the planning phase right now and is scheduled for work next spring. Repairs to the electrical box that supports the navigational aids was explained as new wiring may be necessary in the future. And he finished his report with information on tree trimming efforts at the ends of the runways and the communication that is needed with neighbors on whose property the trees are located. The next meeting is scheduled for June 29th. Any questions?
Guess not. We'll come back to you, don't worry. Move to 21, the report by Alderman Dolnick or MADL regarding the Plan Commission meeting.
Mostly routine at Plan Commission. The big issue, I think, was the absolutely humongous sign that was proposed for the county courthouse property, which was out of compliance with the old code, the new code, and any future code. And it was unanimously rejected by the commission. And if the applicant wants to come back with one that's in compliance with the code, he's certainly welcome to.
Sounds good. Any comments or questions for Jed? All right, moving on to 22, report by Alderman KOEHLER regarding the Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Take it away.
Thank you, Chris. We met on May 27th. There was a resolution read honoring James White for his 40 years of service to the Park and Rec Commission, and you'll see we'll have an item coming up on next meeting's agenda to rename the cabin at Ridge Run Park. We reviewed all of the program fees, 95% of which remain unchanged. The ones that went up are the ones that are outsourced, and we need to pay for those in a different manner. We accepted $40,000 in donations, mostly towards Regner Park Beach House, and July is Park and Rec Month, and that was pretty much it.
Sounds good. Any questions for Alderman KOEHLER? And we'll kick it back to Alderman Bergquist with a report regarding the library board meeting.
Okay, everybody settle in, buckle up. This one's not
3 pages.
Yeah, no, only one. The last meeting of the library board took place on May 18th, right here in the council chambers. After taking care of the routine business of the board, we took care of the election of officers for the next year. All present officers were reelected to their current positions. The financial report and fund balance update was given, and a period of public comment was again held with no comments. I'd like to think that this is a good thing, proving that the public approves of what is actually happening at the library. Library Director Steve Theory provided his report, which included the departure of young adult librarian Hannah Kane. Her departure has left a gap in staffing, which is proposed to be filled by current staff and hiring of part-time library associate 2 positions. This approach appears to be a good move, as the library is heavy in master degree librarians and could benefit from hiring more staff at the library associate 2 position. Another positive item was reported that there was a COVID vaccine clinic held at the library, and it was deemed successful. Also, high school students are displaying artwork at the library at this time. The President's report reiterated the thanks and praise to Hannah Kane as she moves on to her new position. There was no old business, and new business included upcoming purchase of new self-check systems, the upgrading of video conference capabilities in the boardroom, a presentation by Mike Christian from the Hometown Foundation seeking partnership in their art and music opportunities for citizens in Washington County. We discussed fines and agreed to make a standard fine for late items regardless of what type of item it is. In the past, CDs and other items were charged more due to their higher replacement costs. Future board meetings are going to return home to the library and in the boardroom. And we had trustee education item. This was introduced at the last meeting and was on Chapter 43 of state statutes and how it concerns the library, its makeup, duties and responsibilities, and city and county obligations. The next meeting is scheduled for the 15th of June. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions for Alderman Bergquist? All right, moving on to 24, report by Alderman MADL regarding the Community TV Committee meeting. I heard we did not have a meeting necessarily, but you did have some presentations,
yeah, we
right?
reported on the last meeting, but we did have an event, a community TV event since the last meeting, and it was super exciting. Well, I got to meet Mike Ryan, who was the former director of Community TV, and he got inducted into the Wisconsin Media Hall of Fame. And our very own production manager of Community TV, John Elke, was honored with 5 awards and 1 Best of Show honor for his video work done in 2020.
Nice.
Just amazing.
How about we embarrass him? Yeah. There you go.
Think about John. And I'm sorry, Jess Wilds threw an awesome party down at the Bend. That place continues to really impress me. So
awesome.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, for those watching at home, John is behind us, behind the camera, in case you're wondering who we were waving to. So. All right. Well, congrats to all of them. Thanks, John. And finally, we have number 25, report by Alderman Allen regarding the downtown bid board meeting. Take it away.
Bid board met. We had our prefectory discussion of the budget, where we are. We also had an update on the roof line lights, the plan that's underway. It started yesterday at 8 o'clock, and it will be going on through Thursday night. Starting at 8 o'clock each night, thanks to the cooperation of the CSOs, the Community Service Officers of the West Bend Police. We also had a report on a proposal from Scott's Landscaping for gutter and sidewalk cleaning. Board decided not to take action at this time due to cost. We are reiterating that it is the property owner's responsibility to maintain their streets or their curbs and gutters, or gutters and sidewalks in front of their business. Then finally, we had a discussion of the July meeting and set a meeting for July 6th, although we will reevaluate that dependent on content. So.
Sounds great.
Any questions?
All right. Well, there's no further business, but I'll open up if there's any announcements for the good of the order. Seeing none, I'll adjourn by the call of the chair. Have a good night.